The time is 6 o'clock. I call the June 10th Board of Selectmen meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What is that?
A stain on the wall. I was just wondering how it got there.
Walking by, slash their cup.
Probably.
All right, so we have approval of citizen comments. There's no citizens present. Besides that. Approval of minutes. There's minutes for 4/22, 5/6, 6/5, and 5/9. So we can do them all together. Oh, yeah. 6/9.
Well, I have to abstain from May 6th because I wasn't here,
Okay,
but I'll review the others. They appear correct.
I will second all of the ones except for the 5/6, and I will first the 5/6 minutes.
all right. So the.
So you need to second the
Oh, I
5/6
got
minutes.
it, yeah. 5, 6 minutes and. We vote, you're doing 2 votes?
We can do it as one.
All right. No.
No,
Different seconds.
2 seconds. Okay,
Yeah.
yep. Sorry. So go for the 5/6 one first, but that's easy.
I'll second the 5/6, so all in favor of approving the 5/6, say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Abstain.
and abstain, okay, and then there's a motion and a second for the 4/22, 6/5, and 6/9.
Yes.
Okay, so all in favor of those?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, hearing none, they're approved. Additions to the agenda. So I have 4 things to add to the agenda. The LoSiP project, to be approved, the DOT right away resolution, the time off policy and, Centerville Bank depositor book,
Where do you want to put those?
under new business
At the top or at the bottom?
at the bottom.
Okay. I make a motion to add those 4 items after, under new business, after town meeting budget FY 25-26.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alright. Correspondence and announcement. So, let's see, we have virtual public workshop, NECOG is doing a Northeastern Connecticut Safety Action Plan. There's a, workshop on June 25th, it's a Zoom workshop from 6:30 to 8. There's also a survey, I think, too. It's Small Town made the advertisement.
I do.
Oh, nice.
So it's to improve roadway safety in your community. So that'll be more information on it on the website. I do have more clicks and presidents can look at it, and if anyone wants to go to the meeting.
Don't watch it on your phone while you're driving your car.
No.
Okay.
The Main Street Center is partnering with the Norwich Chamber of Commerce, for. They haven't really had a meeting in a long time with all this stuff. The Main Street Center, readiness assessment, it's a regional approach to promoting, all like the regional towns, for promote their businesses for things that they have in common. And when I did the study, it, revealed that we all have outdoor, nature-based, they call it nature-based, trying to figure out how to, like nature-based activities and nature-based environment development stuff, so, we had the study individually done for our town, this is the results, the EDC has a copy too. If anyone wants to read it. We can talk about it later, another date, I'll put it on the agenda. They have, they're unlocking economic potential through nature-based placemaking, it's called. And they're having a series of workshops to teach the towns like how to use this information and work together to promote nature-based, stuff. So the first workshop's on July 22nd, and anyone that wants to, be on the team for that can register. They let me know or register separately. I've asked, some business owners, the owners of the two campgrounds, to be involved, because they are a nature-based, business. And, the Economic Development Commission as well, so if anyone else is interested. This will be on the website too. I haven't gotten to it yet. We filled out a grant application for, the Community Recreation Center, as a planning study. This is, not meaning that we're gonna like build a community center right now. This is just to, have the plans ready and everything so that if we do decide in the future to build one, then we are ready to go for grants. There's a lot of the grants out there now, you need plans, you need to have like a study done to prove that you want it, and this grant will cover the cost of that study, the actual building. Last Green Valley, is planning already for October. So if anyone wants to host an event, you have to have the information, deadline to submit events for the printed brochure is June 16th, so that's not very far away. But if anyone's interested in hosting a October event, get that application in before it's good, like sometime next week. Received a letter, that said that we will receive the, Hardin Road Improvement, Keep grant.
Behooving us to spend $200,000, the town has not yet approved.
What?
Behooving us to spend the $200,000 that the town has not yet approved.
Right.
You make that point very clear at the
Yeah.
town meeting.
Yeah.
Got the grant, but we're not gonna get it unless we spend the money.
Right,
It's not free.
right.
And the grant is in the dollar amount of for our TV audience,
The grant is $1 million.
and we were required to spend
200,000.
200,000 to get $1 million.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows what the numbers are.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This was the April tax collection, report. Anyone wants to look at it? Was the April report from UCOG for animal control. 6 investigations, 5 open, 1 closed, and 1 deceased.
Investigations with those
It
people.
doesn't specifically say, but usually if at any time, someone calls and complains about something, so it'd be like,
Until he's got in the tree.
no, it's usually like a dog bite or a dog loose or stuff like that.
Gotcha.
That is all of them. Just remind people that the special town meeting scheduled for June 18th at 7 PM at the school to vote on the proposed budget. I think there's anything else going on, that's enough, you know. Does anyone else have anything?
Do you want to comment on House Bill 5002 being passed? And
I forgot about this. So I was at this morning.
It was deep rolling.
No, I forgot, just remind me, because I was gonna talk about this, because I didn't have the paper report, but this morning I went to a legislative breakfast. It's with the, Norwich Chamber of Commerce, and, it was all the state reps and senators that represent the towns in our area were there. And they just gave an update of what's been going on, what happened in the legislative session. And the House Bill 5002 was discussed, and there it's not very, they didn't take small towns into consideration when they put it together, or they didn't
They don't care.
So there are some things in there that are, I had Taylor go through it today and pull out the things that were concerning for us, and from the whole bill, I think she picked up 4 or 5 things. One of them being, towns that don't comply are looking at getting, grants pulled. Deep grants, low SIP grants. You won't be eligible for them if you don't comply. Today they said that the governor had said that he didn't know that was in the bill because he thought they took it out. He hasn't done anything with it yet, and they seem to think he's gonna not pass it, but send it, like, tell them what he wants taken out of it and send it back to the legislature, for them to go into special session and redo it. So
Make it a little bit less onerous.
yes, so now's the time for anyone to read the bill and let him know what needs to not be put in there. So that was on that bill. The Senator Summers and Senator Osteen are on the appropriations committee. They are the ones that were really pushing for the hold harmless for the ECS. And Kathy also even mentioned to me today when she was talking about it, because she was up there when I was up there. So she said that even though they're holding us harmless this year, she doesn't think that they're gonna hold harmless. We have 2 years, it's a 2-year budget. So she said, she thinks we need to get more people to fight this, like, because they've been fighting it hard up there. It was bipartisan, against it, like to get the ECS held harmless, so it wasn't one party or the other. It's small towns against cities. And the problem they're having too is, like, I saw it when I was up there testifying. The cities have, they could have 5 reps for our one that we have that does 3 other towns. So it just in the legislature, the outnumber of the votes for bills that favor the cities is just outnumbered that way. So she strongly said that there needs to be a movement of more against, because to show that it needs to be changed, or else it's not gonna stop again. Which means in 2 years, when they are going through the next biennial budget, like the towns, there's like 80-something towns that are looking at cuts. They need to group and fight it together. I was the only town that was there to testify, so. I'm gonna, in the meantime, reach out and try to get something going for next fight. So that's kind of scary. I guess, one of them said, and I can't remember the exact number, so the numbers could be wrong, but like the total amount of all of the money that's being cut is like 8 or 9 million, but that all the towns are being cut total. And one town gets that much money in like one city. Yeah, one city. So they're like already getting millions of dollars. And we're just talking about, and that's what I was saying when I was testifying too. I'm like, yeah, you guys are talking about like wanting millions added to your ECS money. And here I am like, just please don't take my 800,000, because to us, like 800,000 is
Just
like,
make or break.
yeah. So, I don't know. And what else did they talk about? That was mostly what they talked about.
I'm just wondering, our water study, how that kind of ties in a little bit though.
And that was what they were saying too, is that, that's what's stupid about taking away the grants, because a lot of the towns that, use the steep grants and use the LoCIP grants, it's because they need the infrastructure for these projects.
That's what it is, small town economic system.
Yeah.
Program, it's for small town.
They said it's kind of defeats the purpose to take away the funding for the things that are needed for these apartments or whatever, to punish by taking it away what they would need to get it.
To comply with the law.
Yeah. Doesn't make sense. And the whole part about, the transportation, that like the transportation zones, they're giving like incentives for the, to put apartments and stuff in transportation zones, and if you have a transportation zone, you get like more money than anyone else, and all of us small towns are like, none of us have transportation zones, like we can't. So you're giving the money to the cities and the bigger towns that have transportation zones that are already like at their number that they need for affordable housing. So you're not like helping, it's not helping the towns that need help to get there. The whole thing's just doesn't make sense. So that was, today.
Okay.
Anything else? Public Works report, so, they got the new buoys,
They're very nice.
yeah, up at the beach.
It's very-
So, we had money in the capital projects for that, so we got the buoys, we got the stuff, like the weights and all that. That's all set up and ready to go, the beach does open on the 15th.
Is that when the porta potties are going in?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, maybe you should call.
Leave the number, I'll call. So, yeah. And then. Oh. Crack sealing was done on James Road, Gardner Road and Stone Hill, not, MRT was done on James Road, Gardner Road and Stone Hill Road. MRT is, part of our road management plan to maintain, it's a maintaining,
Strategy.
yes, that's the word. Oh my God. It's a strategy for maintaining the road. So instead of like doing a road and then like not touching it for 20 years until like you have to redo it again, we do road management with maintaining strategy, which you apply treatments and stuff to the road and it adds life to it. So that road will last longer than 20 years before you have to redo it. So the MRT, what?
Botox.
Yeah, so the MRT works kind of like Botox. It's a chemical that reacts to the asphalt and like makes it soft. So it it makes it like, it doesn't get rid of the cracks, but it makes them more like pliable, or is that the word?
Never the right pliable, so that
Yeah.
the cracks don't propagate
Yes,
and it's the edges are less brittle,
yes,
because that's where the damage
yeah,
starts.
and that's what we did. First, that's why the roads look weird.
So which was it, that Stonehill?
That was James Road, Gardner Road and Stone Hill Road. They were done a couple of weeks ago and it's like kind of messy. It's gummy, and if the road gets sunlight on it, it makes it even more gummy because the heat like activates it more. So we do put sand over it so that it's not super sticky and tacky. I know on James Road, because that's a more traveled road and it's more in the sun, so it got extra tacky, so they did put sand down on it a couple of times.
Who, are we doing that or is Beta doing that?
The company that we hired, through, that works with Beta, they do the they put the MRT down, but we put the sand down.
Okay.
So they did the MRT one time and then we could reapply the sand, like we put the sand down right after and then. Gardner Road, and if the other roads got super sticky, but I think Gardner Road, James Road was the only one that did, so. But next week, I think starting on the 18th, like weather permitting, they'll be doing the crack sealing, which is sealing up any cracks for after. So then that's like,
Same through roads?
yeah.
Okay.
So that's part of the road maintenance for like preventative and longevity stuff. So
Well, it's not a reason that we keep the ice from getting into the cracks and
yeah,
accelerating the decay of the road.
yeah.
That's good.
So
How much is that costing?
39? Oh, that was just one of the thing. That was probably the crack ceiling. It's the lowest at money. That's why we have it.
Yeah, no, it's so, because our budget was 178.
Yeah, I think most of the lowest at money is going
Okay,
to.
so 173.
73 and close to 36.
Okay, and the group that did the plan for our roads was
Beta.
telling us that we need to spend 450,000.
Oh, yeah, we need to spend like $1 million, like if we, if we take a loan out, not a loan, what do you call it? Bond. To do all the roads at once, it would be, what was it, like $1 million or something, yeah. And we do like what? 300,000 a year, so. We chug away, we do pretty good actually, they use us as examples. For other towns, and figuring it out, so. With no money. Yeah.
Okay, with that further ahead.
So I think that's what we've been working on now, besides like the mowing started, so they've been doing roads, there's just doing the town property in the field back here, takes one person like a couple of days, so. If anyone didn't notice, we removed the bushes at Sunny, so now you can actually see when you're pulling out of here.
That's good.
So that's good. And those are all things that Public Works has been working on. Local traffic authority. Well, if there's anything new, just the that road thing I was talking about from VTOG, that's part of a task force too that I'm on, Vision Zero. That's putting together this traffic, that's local traffic authority. So then we're on to finance report, finance director.
Got a couple of things for you here, so just a basic recap, we're not planning, we're gonna budget, obviously. Interim audit, the auditors were on site yesterday, today. Most of what we do for the interim audit is just, they audit our internal policies and procedures and make sure there's checks and balances, so. Not one person is taking care of everything, and it'll be up to the company. One of the big changes for the audit next year will be how we, account for compensated absences. If we change that, federal government got being changed, so every town in the United States has to follow these rules, so that's one of the big changes we're gonna have to figure out. And we're hoping not to have another federal single audit this year, a lot more work, a lot of extra work on the auditors, more money for us that we're hoping, as long as we stay under 750,000, the town's right at 300,000, we spend that, ARPA funds this year. I don't know what the schools ESSER funds were. So last year we were just like 749,000, we were pretty close, and we didn't have to do it, we might have to do it this year.
If I'm asked a question, the, and you probably don't know the answer to it, how long is that cap then at 750?
Oh, I don't know. They are moving it, but it's not gonna affect this, budget year, it'll affect next budget year, because it goes for land. But they are changing it, they are moving up the state single audit and the federal single audit. So. But the next. Fiscal year, we're starting, Fortune Bridge. And 20% of that is federal line. And so I don't know how that'll work out.
So is that likely to trigger a
Well,
state
yeah,
law?
because the bridge is almost 5 million, so that's $1 million.
Yeah.
It's a possibility, because and the school gets more federal money than we do. They get a lot of grants and stuff, extra grants and that stuff for the preschools and whatnot, a lot of that federal money. So most of the time it's usually triggered because it's more from what the school does sometimes. I know, before you guys, it's not final, this is just where we're at right now. You can see in here, the amount of income we've received so far. We're at 90,000 over for tax collection. It's usually because of the supplemental bills that go out in January. And then extra on building permits has been. People are building houses, which is on the new houses that are being built, so that's the reason for the extra in the building permit line. So we should be very close to breaking even, we won't go over this year. And I think the school is like at a penny or something like that, so they've spent right up to the.
You're really good at their budgeting, right?
The right to the,
How much would you expect the receipts from the motor vehicle tax to drop next year with the changes by 20%?
Yeah. So 20% goes to, you're not receiving it from vehicles, so I'm done. Everything. That's transfer bill.
You're starting to read single ply toilet paper from town hall.
Another thing we're working on is policies, what policies we're working on, one from you'll see under new business, another, we're working on new funds. The EDC is, doing trail maps, so we're working on, creating a fund for the EDC for, they can take in money for trail maps and different things and use it to pay for the expenses. ClearGov, I'm still working on that one. My next meeting is June 16th for starting the capital project module. Human resources part, we have a new employee, so we've been working on getting all the stuff, she's up and running to make sure she can do her job. The library's trying to hire a new person, so we've been working on getting out there so she can look for a substitute. The biggest thing is people are falling out sick, and she's really big. She only has just 2 people that work every day. So if she can't work and somebody calls out, then they're either working alone or there's nobody really to choose from. So the substitute won't really change the budget. It'll just give them an extra person to call in if they have a call up. Or if somebody wants to take vacation or whatever. And then the IT stuff, our firewall at 9 years is desperately in need of replacing. They wanted us to replace it this year. I told them no, we didn't have the money for it. So we're hoping to have the money for it next year. They're saying that hopefully we can get another year out of it. It doesn't die on it. Not gonna. And then one of the other things is the Homeland Security audit Tracy and I did. One of the big findings they found is our server room. We need to make sure that under a lock and key, which we can't do right now because it doesn't have.
All overheat.
We have a lower heat, it doesn't have AC in there, so we have to make some upgrades to that room or figure something out that.
Is there a chance that, because hot air rises, that we can just put in vents, cut through the wall and put wire mesh?
I don't know how many splits even can fit in there, unless they're super tight one.
I don't know either.
Cause that's not gonna fit in there.
They have smaller ones.
Oh, there are ones a lot smaller than that, but then it's the because that's an interior room, you then have to run a pipe all the way to the exterior of the building somewhere.
Well,
We have to figure out moving it.
see, my thought would simply be that since the building is air conditioned, right, it's at whatever, 68 degrees, and yes, you basically have these heat pumps in there that are, warming the room up with the doors closed. If you had a steel vented door, with low entry here,
Mhm.
and you opened the wall with, again, sort of a steel paneling with fans in there that drew the hot air out. You're sucking the cooler air in the bottom and sending it out to the top.
Well,
you're venting the heat
yeah.
anyway, but now you.
Yeah. Well, the fact that we have AC,
Figure out what we can do, we're asking to a different office.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying, because a mini split's $5,000.
Yeah.
I would think, and what I'm
Well, the
talking
pipe
about is
thing
like
is
500.
it's not, it's doable, but then it's gonna be, unsightly.
Or they have to hook up into one of the other ones that.
Or we tie into the existing HVAC system and just change the ductwork to feed into that room.
Although
With a
that might
vented
be right on
door.
the other side of the wall.
So, yeah, that's a, registrar stuff.
Yeah.
It's tied into the town clerk's office.
For one of the hallway too.
There's a space between here and the roof that all the piping is, so like I think it's. The meeting room and. I forget, I'm on the meeting room, the building room, and my office are on one.
Maybe,
Tracy,
yeah.
and
the
the
hallway.
tax collector. And hallway.
Yeah.
Are on one, the town clerk's office and the, registrars are on one. Yeah. And Kathy, maybe they're with Kathy.
Yeah, there.
They must be with Kathy. And then the vault is on its own. So, we get the money, we'll have to call somebody to come out and see if it's even possible to do anything. But he said it has to get locked up. Or it has to get moved. But if you can't get locked up in there, it's gotta be.
Right.
And that's the one thing they said, that. A huge vulnerability for the town.
That's a
Nobody
major
wants to
finding.
come in.
For the audit, yes.
That's my report.
Thank you.
That's what I've been working on, that's budget stuff. Which is
Yeah.
taking up most of the time, but there are other things going on.
Tony, write a report.
Tony wrote one too, I have it. I think it's in your packet, should be in your packet. Investment interest earned for May, 12,807, year to date is 131,000. Next year is not gonna be that high, because, the last 2 months, April, and May will be. Most of our money will be used up in Portsmouth Bridge and our savings account. Citizens were finally closed for citizens. They were all fully over to Centerville. Centerville we have a savings account now there, 3.34% API, or APY, 7.4. We were in 2620, 33.55 year to date. TIF account. The rates are at 4 point. Higher than Centerville is at 4.39. Down slightly from April. Total amount we got from them is 127. Rates have remained unchanged. Not anticipated that they will change rates in June either. Favorable unemployment information, slightly decreasing inflation on certain tariffs, next anticipated rate decrease is September. And then there's this project that he's working on, if we finish migrating everything over to Centerville from citizens, and he's working on some policies. And the last one, you guys have to work on the Centerville proxy vote. Yeah. So that.
Any questions about any of those? Full business, ARPA funds. I don't have an update, the trip grant, we don't have any updates. And the water study. The water study, we're getting ready to do, test drills, at the property behind the school and the housing authority, just to see if there's a, actual water, pressure for what we need, for like the amount. Actually, the water for,
Yeah, and then,
yeah, so to see if there's even any water, back there for that. And for the beach pond one, we cannot find a location.
Hmm.
The,
Interesting.
yeah,
Too much sand?
there's, too much ledge on the part of the pond, like where Bennett Circle is, like that whole area, there's too much ledge, so there's nowhere to go. The property that has the current community well is,
In circle?
Tanglewood. We were looking at, testing near there, but it's state property, and they said no.
Wait, no, that was Aquarian Water, and it used to be a private water company, which,
It's Connecticut Water. Connecticut Water owns like the small area that their, well is on, but the surrounding area is, state.
well, to the west of it is, but the fellow who borders that on
Yeah.
the east side,
It's
and
in,
he sees that land.
right, it's in, legal limbo. And the state said because of that legal limbo, and they won't let us. So there's other options of, what did we talk about? Putting the well on the other side of the pond, and they were like, do you think that we'd get permission to run the piping under the pond from one side of the road to the other?
No.
Probably not.
Who would have to grant that permission?
That's what was the whole part of the conversation. Yeah, that was the whole part of the conversation. So we're still trying to figure out. The next thing came to like Beach Pond Road around there, so. We're still looking,
Each road extension?
no, like Beach Pond Road, 165 and 138, like around that area. Because the other place that they are looking at is the sand pit, like. Behind, off of, Forge Hill Road, that sand pit back there, that's for sale, like the entrance to it is next to the, parking lot for the beach,
Oh, North Shore Road.
or sure, yeah.
There's also a cedar swamp back there, so there is water back there.
Yeah, there's a sand pit back there, so that's like the most ideal location right now, but. Just the cost of running the piping from there to where we need it to go,
Where does it need to go?
to Bennett Circle,
Oh, forget it.
yeah. So,
It'll work.
yeah. So, we might not have anything there. But at least we checked, and we're still thinking of options if anyone has any. Let me know. The other side is Rhode Island, but I don't know if that'd be impossible. Getting a well for, on Rhode Island for.
Interstate well, water system, yeah,
So
no.
that was brought up too, and the more I thought about it, I'm like, I don't even know how that would work, because like, how?
Well,
Unless we like unless Voluntown like acquired a piece of land in Rhode Island and it became like an annex to Voluntown. I don't even know if that's possible, but you know.
Well, on Connecticut's northern border with Mass, there is the notch. So we could create the eastern notch.
there is a small stream on Bennett Road between two properties that I'm aware of that flows into the pond, I'm sure. I mean, again, that's part of that north
They
sloping
need
ledge.
like a 75-foot, like. A 75-foot, like easement around it or something like
Yeah.
that. For public health stuff, so wherever it goes, there has to be like 75 feet around it, which makes it.
No septic systems, no
Yeah.
dwellings,
Well,
no foundations.
In the area where you come down the hill for Bennett Circle, where it comes, where the tight turn is.
Yeah.
and then swings around back, ignoring the part that goes off here towards Rhode Island. That whole area that's behind the homes that are on the lake is largely wooded. It is privately owned, but
That might be one of the places where they were looking for, with the ledges.
I mean, I know there's a street in there, so there's gotta be water flow in the particular area. I'd be happy to point it out to you.
Yeah.
See it's in there.
Okay. That's where we are in the water. New business, tax refunds.
To be in your packet, I got the copy.
Yep.
We have some tax refunds. 11 of them.
You all the package?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have Christopher Bassell, that's Econ, 953 Econ Kill,
You want that?
5154, 171 Wiley School for 289.72. And 2 Bailey Con for 152.04.
I move that we, return the money to the taxpayers who overpaid. And
Second.
stipulate.
Second,
Motion's been made and second to refund the tax. The taxpayers are recommended by the tax collector. Any more discussion? All in favor, all in favor?
aye,
Aye. Okay. That was the HSGP grant document. Where is this? This
You
was,
have those, guys, they're not in this packet.
oh, I had it. I don't have it in mine.
It's a two big packet.
Where the, oh, okay, I didn't have it. Alright. Is, it's a resolution for the, State of Connecticut Department of Emergency Service and Public Protection, for their grants. If anyone wants to read it, there's a whole bunch to go with it. This is just for the, Homeland Security grants that we work with, for the MOA. With the kind of memorandum of agreement, between the town and the Homeland Security, just for grants and stuff. So it's be it resolved that the town of Allentown may enter in with and deliver to the State of Connecticut Department of Emergency Service and Public Protection, Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, any and all documents which it deems to be necessary and appropriate, and further resolve that Tracy Hansen as first selectman of town of Allentown is authorized and directed to execute and deliver any and all documents on behalf of the town of Allentown, and to do and perform all acts and things which she deems to be necessary or appropriate to carry out the terms of such documents, including but not limited to executing and delivering all agreements and documents contemplated by such documents. The undersigned further certifies that Tracy Hansen now holds office of first selectman and that she has held it since November 19th, 2017. And that's what.
Is there a requirement for successor selectmen?
They do this.
Fair truck.
This is done, I think, every year, maybe.
Always.
It's done often. Or every couple of years. I think every 2 years it's done.
but they're out of cycle. Because this is coming to the end of your 2-year term.
No, it's every year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last one
I think
was
it's every year.
2024. Every year.
Okay.
It says 24 here and 23 down here, but I think it's that's not every year. So I just need a motion and a second to approve it.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to, approve the MOA for the, State of Connecticut Department of Emergency Service and Public Protection, District of Homeland Management and Homeland Security. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carrying none. All right, now the next one. This one hadn't been done in a while because I don't remember.
Are you doing that here or after the other stuff?
Oh, yeah, this is cool. Never mind. Later on. All right, so that's done, appointments.
Was this the library, the elder commission?
Nope, this is,
It's where,
yeah, some of it's elderly.
Yeah.
So we need to we have people on the elderly commission that expire on July 1st. So I recommend that we reappoint Dana Steninger, Anthony Manfredi, and Kim Hudson.
I make a motion to reappoint the three individuals named to the elder commission.
and they're willing to serve,
Yep.
like it. Good, thanks.
So all in favor?
Aye.
And to reappoint. Then I have, Thomas Plunkett, who would like to be appointed to the Economic Development Commission. I met him, he's been attending our, water study meetings, so.
So I want to say something about Tom.
Yeah.
Tom is someone relatively new to town who wants to be involved.
Yeah.
So this is someone new to the revolving cast of the
Yeah.
usual faces we see. So this is awesome
Yeah,
that it's fresh blood. So
yeah,
thank you, Tom.
he's been to a couple of, like, he was at the past two water study meetings. I wasn't at the first one, but at the last one, he's a good asset to the group, so.
Yep.
I think he'll be good with the EDC too.
I make a motion to appoint him to the E EDC.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded to appoint Thomas Plunkett to the Economic Development Commission. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, he's appointed. Start giving him stuff to do. Jack's been doing it all, so Jack will be happy. Town meeting, so I talked about that already.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is the new proposed budget on the town website already?
Not yet, as a letter, the public notice for the meeting is on there, but I haven't attached the documents yet. I put a letter with the, budget when I, post it, and I worked on it today. I gave everyone copies to look at. I just wanted you guys, I just finished it, and just wanted to know if you guys wanted to add anything to it, and then, depending on what time we get out of here, which I don't think is gonna be before 7, but, it'll be on tomorrow morning, everything.
And copies available on the town website.
Enough for government work.
Yeah, but we do have copies, yeah, we do have copies here if anyone needs them.
The reason I was asking, have we gotten any more people coming in to discuss the budget or
No.
phone calls since the last town meeting?
Nope.
Okay.
So, all the stuff we've been talking about is on the YouTube, and the YouTube, meeting from, not yesterday, but the day before, had 53 views, so.
Okay, that's way above the average of 2 to 3.
Yeah.
Of which we count as one.
We're showing. Not sample time yet, so.
Whatever needs display. Skill.
Oh, well, I'll get out high heels if we know this is coming.
Let's put the camera down. I'll skip that you forget.
So I'm hoping to have everything posted tomorrow. I just wanted everything to be posted together instead of like just posting the board ed and not us.
Sure.
And I just wanted to have everything all ready.
Good strategy.
So it'll be there tomorrow, and I will, put it on social media and everything too, so it'll.
And out there, new and improved.
Yeah, it'll all be out there. So be ready.
Okay.
And we had what we added, which was
Right.
the LoSiP project. Do we have something written for that?
Did I give you the copies of the?
Oh, yeah, we can. So we just want to approve, the. Was it only the MRT that we used the LoSiP for, or do we
Yeah,
use Praxia?
20 something thousand.
18.
Or 18,000, yeah.
Okay, 21,000. So to approve the $21,438.04, that was the cost of the MRT for the 3 roads. To approve or vote to use the LoSiP money for it.
Move to expend the illicit money, take our money.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Good. The right away one. Okay, so you can tell all the state agencies are getting all their documents set for the next round of stuff. So we got from the DOT. They need a resolution for their or master municipal agreement for rights of way projects. And this just pretty much says that the master municipality agreement for rights of way projects, MMA ROW, between the town of Allentown and the Connecticut Department of Transportation expired on February 6, 2025. To avoid any disruption pending future right of way projects in your municipality, an updated version of the MMA ROW is enclosed for execution, and the resolution is part of that. The resolution is resolved that the Honorable Tracy Hanson, First Selectman, is hereby authorized to sign the agreement entitled Master Municipal Agreement for Rights of Way Project.
Make a motion to approve the DOT resolution for right-of-way resolution.
So
So a motion's been made and seconded to approve the Master Municipal Agreement for a right of way. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carrying none.
that wouldn't by chance, because of the expiry date, affect the transfer of the land over in the state forest?
No,
Okay.
this is one of the projects that they're working on. Is they're gonna be going and using money to replace all of our speed signs on not private roads, town roads.
Mhm.
To make sure that they're like reflective and like are the right speed limit signs for what the town they have.
Are we gonna get the blinky stop signs? The
No,
ones with the rings of LED lights on the outside?
no,
No, those are out there now.
I know.
speed limit signs that they're doing, so this would go with that, because they have to go into our right of way to fix. Good stuff like that.
Mhm.
Time off policy,
This is about the unpaid sick leave.
yeah. Employee time off and hours adjustment policy, so Julie can explain it.
It's just the basic reasoning behind it, but there's been quite a number of issues where people, don't work their full shift, or they work over their shift and they have, vacation time and sick time in it. So the question's always been like, do we use the extra? Are you supposed to adjust it back to their scheduled time? For hourly people, that means if you don't, they're getting paid extra hours. Like if they're scheduled to work 30 hours and they had worked a little extra hours on one day and they had a time off one day for 8 hours. Now instead of 30 hours, they're getting paid 35. So you're supposed to work their scheduled hours. So this policy allows us to adjust the time off. So they only get paid the 30 hours. They're not using time to get extra hours that week. To get paid extra hours. And the same thing is under it. If they're not working enough of their schedule, I don't have to go back and say, you didn't work all your shifts, you're up, you're missing a half an hour here and out there, but what are you gonna use? This just enables me to take a policy to say, look, if you're not gonna work your full, you use your time. If you work too much, you're not gonna get paid extra for it. So that's the purpose.
So if someone works, supposed to work 30 hours, they work 35 hours, they don't take any time off that week.
So if they work, it's different, but if they're supposed to work 30 hours, and Monday they took 8 hours sick time. So the total hours for the week ended up 33 hours. They can't get paid 8 hours sick time and end up with an extra 3 hours that week. They get 5 hours sick time and end up with 30 at the end.
Got it.
They're not supposed to use time to get paid more hours. It's a budget, and it affects the budget because then they're getting paid more and more money. You know what I mean? So, and then the other side of it is they're taking unscheduled time off without, asking, so they're supposed to use their time. And it's becoming interesting in, I'm doing payroll, and it used to happen once in a while, now it's like 4 or 5 people for every paycheck, I'm constantly reaching out, like, what's going on, this enables me, so I don't have to keep reaching out and waiting for people to get back to me before I can finish payroll.
Okay.
No, he is, so, and it's just so everybody's on the same page, this is what, like,
This would be for all the non-union.
non-union people. You should have, there's specific.
Do you guys have this?
It's
No.
been in the, it wasn't in the packet.
I don't think so.
I don't think it was.
No.
I saw the sick leave policy update, which was the state mandated training sessions on sick leave policy, but I didn't see anything else.
I have one. Yeah, we can do it.
Trees are in the papers.
What happens when you have a stack of paper on your desk all day long and you're trying to make sure everything fits into the pile?
So this is gonna be an update to the employee
And
manual.
yeah, it'll be an update.
Are we gonna attach?
An addendum.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can put it in the.
Yeah, put it as an addendum in case of that.
Yep.
Kind of the policy.
I do have to make some adjustments to the sick leave policy because January, the states came up with new rules on how you can use sick leave in some of ours in our handbook.
Yeah, 'cause she did have the sick leave policy for this too, but at the thing I went to today, the legislative thing, one of the, representatives said something that they made changes to the state's
Again,
sick leave policy when he was doing the update, but, so we gotta see what that is before we do that. Or they made clarification or something, so it might affect that, so we didn't do that one. Or now we gotta find where that was,
the clarification,
yeah,
I haven't seen anything come in on that.
I don't know, remember who said it.
Because usually, because we had to post that out there, so for clarifications, we should get something.
I think I remember who it was,
But the state has to send out a new poster if they made changes to that policy.
I'll see if I can email the guy who spoke, it was a state rep, and he was not one of ours, he was a newer one. But he's also on a board of selectmen.
It might not actually change the policy, might just clarify.
Yeah, I think it
There's
might
been
be.
questions, because part of the new sick leave is basically if the first 40 hours, kind of confusing. Basically, you can take 40 hours off, up to 40 hours with no, you for no reason for mental health.
Bye, Taylor.
Bye.
I think he said it was a clarification.
You can't ask for, you can't ask for anything up to the 40 hours, and then over the 40 hours, you can ask for doctor's notes and whatnot. So there's different reasons why you can.
Great world.
So we can approve this now if you're comfortable with what you read, or if you need more time, we can approve it at the next meeting.
No, I think I'm good with voting on it now. Jim, do you wanna review it?
She's doing the payroll, she knows best.
Yeah, no, I've read through this here and Julie, your explanation was excellent for this here. So yes, very clear. So I make a motion to approve the employee time off and hours adjustment policy for non-union employees.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Was there any more discussion on it or questions? No, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, the policy is approved. Thank you, Julie. Next is the Centerville Bank depositor vote that Tony mentions on the back.
Yep.
Tracy has all that.
I have all the paperwork if anyone wants to look at it.
It looks like proxy, the proxy package.
So what he says, the Centerville Bank and Mutual Savings Bank Board of Trustees request to vote. All right. To form a mutual holding company, MHC. This will allow them to have greater flexibility to grow through acquisitions, allow for more product and activities diversification, and maintain capitalization requirements in the future. He recommends to vote for this measure, so.
So I'm gonna look at Jim, because Jim is our resident expert here, and
It's a way to base, in a mutual bank, all the capital that builds up over the course of, the century and a half, all that excess capital, in theory belongs to the depositors. So if you were to unwind a bank tomorrow, and you had $100,000 CD, and you had $100,000 CD, and they would add up all the capital, they'd add up all the deposits, and then they would divide, and you'd find out you get your $100,000 back plus another $25,000 as your share of the return of the capital of the bank. When you demutualize a bank, they always make an offer of, oh, you can buy stock in the bank. Most people pass on it. It's a way basically of moving large sums of money away from small depositors without them really understanding how that's happening. There are some economic advantages. In a mutual holding structure, they can issue subordinated debt. Corporation can, bank can't do that. The idea is, they want to grow a bigger business and eventually take this mutual holding company and take it public and make money on it. And usually that will work to the advantage of management, not for the depositors. So,
is there a downside to the depositors?
you lose your first claim to the capital in the bank.
So if the bank dissolved in its current structure, we get what you just described, we get 100K plus any
Plus-
capital that it built up.
Yeah, divided,
In
equally.
the mutual holding company, well, if the bank failed at that point or dissolved,
Well, here's the interesting part. So the bank actually ends up restructuring, so the bank itself becomes a stock corporation with only one stockholder. And that's mutual holding company, owns all the stock in that bank. So the capital, that excess capital in the bank is now owned by this mutual holding company. Fathers no longer have a claim to this. That's my understanding.
so the only thing we would have to rely on then is FDIC, which is capped at 250K.
Well, that only guarantees deposits. The capital is not guaranteed. So, literally, if the bank went bust, right, wiped out, all the capital was wiped out, so forth on, the FDIC guarantees your return of your deposit. But, so that's the black situation. The white situation would be the bank decides tomorrow, you know what, we're tired of this banking business. We're gonna shut everything down, pay off everything that we owe, settle all of our bills, all our obligations. And the surplus that's left, which is the bank's capital, goes to the depositors. You have more money in the bank, you get more back from the bank. You have less money, you get a smaller amount. Kind of like a mutual fund, everybody's got the same interest in the bank, but yours might be 10% of the bank, yours could be 1%, might be 1/10 of 1%. I would get a 1/10 of 1% share of the capital, you get 10% because you are a much bigger depositor. But this is basically a way to strip the capital away from the depositors.
So what would
It's
you
great for
do?
them. We're having the same argument at the Jewett City Savings Bank. I'm not in favor of doing this. But this is the way business is going. Big government likes big business and big unions and big banks.
So
Yeah, because Tony said too that like one of the reasons why they're doing it too is because this is what I got from what he said, so he could have said something totally different, and that's just what I heard. But that because they're a bank that crosses state lines, that this reorganization helps them, because of the different banking in the different states, and that it will help them.
Be more
that way.
competitive.
Yeah.
We'll also help them to get into other business fields if they want to get into insurance.
Okay.
They want to get into financial advisory, so forth on. It will make them a better competitor in more fields.
Okay.
It won't just be a bank anymore. Sell you your life insurance, we'll sell you your business insurance, we'll do your financial.
So they're gonna get bigger. That's they wanna grow.
They are growing and because they already acquired what, Putnam
Putnam
Bank,
Savings Bank.
yeah, and Tony said that they're probably looking to move south and are trying to might want to acquire more banks, and this was a way of them growing. So.
The Jewish City Savings Bank is not going to merge with anybody ever. At least while I'm on.
So unless we have a repeat of the eighties savings and loan disaster,
Oh, but that was fun.
Yeah,
I remember standing in line for that $5 or whatever. To get that.
we should have little to no impact on us as a town using the bank.
Right. You can vote against it, it's gonna pass anyway, but you can make a principle stand saying, no.
So it's up to, Tony said it's up to the board to decide how we want to vote, because it's,
It's gonna pass. I'd say vote no, because it doesn't make a difference, but up to you, Tim. It's basically stripping the equity away from the depositors bank.
yeah, I would
It's not the way
say,
I would do business, but
I don't know, I'm kind of in the middle of it because I as the, like representing the town and the possibility of us acquiring more money if they like do decide to close or whatever and to get that money is beneficial. But also they're our bank, and if they want to grow, and I support that, so I don't know which one, but yeah.
I think
I have gotten money personally from a bank that I belong to going public, and it wasn't a lot of money because I was young and not have a lot of money in the bank, but it did pay for my cruise, so it does happen.
but we have a lot of money in the bank.
I know, that's why I'm like, I don't know. It did happen to me before with a bank, and it paid, like I said, it paid for a cruise, so.
well, you have to figure what are the town's interests. We want a good bank to service our banking needs.
Yeah, so we want them to grow.
We want them to be focused on their business of banking. Do you want them to be focused on being a widely diversified financial conglomerate, selling insurance and everything else in the world? And if it doesn't work out, well.
Well, I think banks don't fail overnight, since the eighties at least.
Never say never.
Yeah, but it's, it
I know Silicon Valley Bank, was
true.
a matter of 2 weeks, and that was March 2022.
Yeah.
That was a $20 billion bank, $25 billion bank. It's gonna pass.
I agree.
I vote no, but you two do what you wanna do.
And I trust the advice of our treasurer, which is a yes, so.
Yeah. I abstain.
So.
No, I won't take my own. No, it's, I would vote no, but I know that our treasurer is advising us to vote, yes. So I am going to officially say vote yes.
Sorry.
Hey, I lost the blight ordinance, so look at that.
This is why there's three of us, so that it can't be a tie,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And watch them like crash tomorrow and we lose all the money. This is to do for
Jim, I agree with you.
June 17th.
I don't get to vote.
June 17th. So,
You better get it in then.
Yeah.
6 days.
So,
okay. Anything else?
You added 4 things, you got the LoSiP,
That was the fourth thing.
you got the,
The
right
right
away.
away, the time off policy and the bank,
Yep,
Yep.
okay,
All 4 additions.
actually like organized.
I can't remember, I did ask this, I think the porta potties are going in.
Yeah.
On the 16th.
Yeah.
Alright.
And we're gonna,
Yeah.
when I originally talked to the security, I had them just start on the weekend until the 4th of July weekend, because for some reason, we always, the first weekend, we just did a weekend, and then, because I think the kids were always still in school, but I think they're all out next week, so I'm gonna check with them and see if there's any.
you want them to have it on there 14th then? You might wanna have
Porta potty.
the Saturday 14th.
He's starting on the, he'd be starting on
I
the
did
Sunday.
celebration.
We can't do coverage until the 15th, so,
Gonna rain anyway,
yeah.
Hey, it's a Saturday.
gonna rain it.
It has rained for the past 15 Saturdays in a row.
I sent you the phone number, you can.
All right.
There was a Connecticut Insider article on it. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Is it bad if we do a couple of days early?
See when they can do it. I
Okay.
asked them to bring, they can usually drop it off the next day.
Okay, so even if we have them put it there on the Saturday, just so that it's not probably
There's,
costing.
the only thing is there's a key they usually ask for. There's a
If
key.
they get it, somehow they got it in last
Yeah,
time.
so that last time to get it, they got it, the guy like manhandled.
I don't know how we got it
But
over
there's a
there.
key in our key box, and it says Tin Beach Gate,
Where's the key?
and like,
Oh, your key box. Okay,
so if they ask it,
okay,
tell them that it comes to, so they might have to come to you
on Friday, okay.
or they have to kind of somehow get it over the.
All right, I'll call them tomorrow. so.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in